In this episode of the WoAS podcast, today we're going to be reviewing the Darkness's landmark album, Motorheart. I'm sorry, that was a Freudian slip. I'm joined by my co-host, Jeremy Dillon, and I'm Mike Ledoux. Jeremy, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
All right, man.
That intro was so smooth.
I don't know if they're getting better or worse. Lead this one off. I feel like it works out well when we do it that way.
So we are big fans of Justin Hawkins' Rides Again and The Darkness. Now their newest album came out in 2021, Motorheart, produced by Dan Hawkins. So I think we're just going to kind of go through track by track here, and in the spirit of Justin Hawkins himself, ask, is this shit or not?
Well, it's definitely not shit. And also, too, I think on a specific note, he would not be reviewing his own album. So this is maybe an opportunity where someone, us can take on that task and, we'll say we do. I think one thing that stood out to me with this album, when you're a viewer of the Rides Again podcast and video series, that stands out is sort of this recurring theme at times of matching parts of a song that's popular to, maybe something that inspired it. So I have found that with this album, which I think I got turned on to about maybe a year ago, that there is a lot of probably deliberate efforts to pay homage to a lot of the Darkness's collective heroes and inspiration. And, we'll get into that specifically with certain songs. And if it's coincidental, accidental, whatever, it's also fantastic because the album takes like a nice sort of undulating trip through different subgenres of rock and maybe different groups and inspirations that you'll hear in there.
It kind of reminded me of the Dan Arbach album that we reviewed, Waiting on a Song, and how that's an homage of very specific things. So this is very much that. Maybe it's something about being in your late 40s and you want to just rock out like all your heroes did.
Right. Like one day I'm going to do that, I think for a lot of people it tends to be a cover album. This is probably like the next best thing where it's a lot of heavily inspired, I won't say derivative, but heavily inspired sort of work that flavored
flavors.
There you go. And that there's a lot of great sprinklings of Darkness uniqueness in there, which, we'll point out. And the other thing I'll say is that when we do actually play some of these songs, typically what we do when we're reviewing these songs is we'll go from the beginning to about like the first chorus or so, and not every song has the same structure, so sometimes you have to like listen to it longer or listen to it in chunks and jump around. Pretty much every one of these songs just gets right into the meat and potatoes in a pretty quick sequence of events, like I would say like a minute in or less. So I think the audience will find that interesting too, because the group really delivers from a punchline point of view, I guess.
Yeah, it's a very listenable album. You're not going to be waiting around for a lot of things to happen. It's coming at you hard, nonstop.
Yeah, for sure. And like kind of something for everyone in the sense that I would imagine there's people that listen to it that really connect with like one or two songs, and then there's like three or four that are such a different sort of subgenre that they don't identify with and they may tune out. I think you and I probably like the majority of it, maybe even the specific cuts that we picked out. So, on that note, we put a little playlist together that is a cut of 6 songs from the album. It's Love, Jim, Motorheart, the title track, Speed of the Nighttime, So Long, Sticky Situations, and You Don't Have to Be Crazy About Me.
Yeah, those are all good.
Yeah, definitely. Should we just start in order?
Yeah, let's go in order.
Okay, excellent. All right, so this first track, and we're not doing this in the order of the album, so this first track that we're going to play is called It's Love, Jim, which is a nod to McCoy from Star Trek's kind of signature phrasing of "Damn it, Jim, I'm not a doctor,"
or "It's damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a
I'm a doctor, not a sorry." So it's meant in that vein, which is great. And he's singing about I guess falling in love with an alien that has a different way of interacting with the man, shall we say? So
humor, darkness, lyrics.
It's great. It's always a good time. All right, so let's kick this one off and see how it goes. these striking chords. Keep that in mind. This almost sounds like it's going to end.
Great.
You want to go first?
Let's hear your thoughts on it.
So I think this one is a little very much up for interpretation in the sense that everything else here feels to me very 80s and back, maybe 90s. And then maybe this is 90s too. It reminds me of Queens of the Stone Age. It reminds me like spot on of like a Josh Homme, just dun, 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 and like that like mid range, just like that freaking tone. And the way he's hitting it, like it sounds like all downstrokes.
Yeah.
They're hitting it. Could be him or Dan. I don't know who's playing that. And then like that's very Queens of the Stone Age too. That like kind of like dip in the in the riff. Beyond that, like the that kind of like lead out. I don't that just kind of reminds me of like a lot of maybe like grunge to specific metal groups, anyway, style or set, whatever. But
yeah, and then you get the really 80s arpeggios, and over that's kind of reminiscent of Eddie Van Halen, maybe the where it's like really spiky little arpeggios.
Okay, yeah.
So I can hear a lot of
right. Okay, Eddie Van Halen, interesting.
But I hear a lot of the darkness as well. Can't get away from it whenever you've got him singing on top of it. And
yeah, I mean, for sure, it's like he really has a unique sort of voice when it comes to it not being really attached to anything that I can pick out.
Yeah.
So there's like just that in general, but then his whole I know he said it's not falsetto. I won't split hairs, but I'm just gonna call it falsetto or high voice. Love, I need love. When he goes really high, like that is also uniquely them. I think there's times where like that kind of borders on Queen, and I don't think they deny that, but especially when there's like when that's done with like a kind of like a chorus of voices, but that's like what I was saying before, like sprinkling of darkness stamp, that's it right there. And that's what's so satisfying, because I think there's other groups that would do a song like this, and first of all, that intro, I don't know how many bars it is, but I think a lot of other bands would double that, and then you would lose the let's get to the point kickoff of the verse, unlike what they do in it, which is great. They just get right into it. So I think these songs are like really perfect for this kind of format of reviewing, because it's just, like I said, straight through to about a minute plus, and then you get the whole, soul of the song. So,
and my guess is that's a modern production choice, right?
Yeah,
that's a modern songwriting thing. Is you're just going to get right into it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, right. You said Dan produced this, right? I mean, great job. I think if those were part of the decision making process, like, no, we got to like shave these things down and whatnot, like excellent execution, because maybe that's exactly why everything gets into the territory it needs to in about a minute. Okay, so great. Next up, we got the title track, Motorheart.
So these two, it's Love Gym and then Motorheart, according to the Spotify numbers anyway, are the 1 and 2 most listened to tracks on this.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting.
It shows you those play numbers.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so Motorheart, I just want to preface, it's kind of like a guy singing about like an android or like an artificial being that was put together, and he's got it's at his disposal, and there's like a lot of funny lyrical content in there about it. But this is one that stylistically reminds me of a lot of stuff. I'll share my thoughts after we play it, but to preface, thematically, it reminds me of Trampled Underfoot by Zeppelin, where he's like singing about a car.
Yeah.
Right. As well as I'm in Love with My Car, Queen. And then also Highway Star by Deep Purple. And then I'll react and respond to the kind of the stylistic musical things that I think it ties back to. But so Motorheart, let it rip. This is like, you also don't know where this is going at first. Oh, that high doubling on the main vocal. Kept the receipt. Great transition. All right, we're gonna stop it there. Okay, Jeremy.
Good stuff, man. I mean, it's
Yeah.
extremely 80s in the best way possible.
Yes.
There's a little bit of Stone Cold Crazy from Queen in there.
100%. Yeah.
And then I love that transition into the chorus. It's like a huge lift.
Yeah, really good arrangement choice on that. Or I guess tonal choice on that, so I suppose.
There's like 5 different riff ideas in just the intro of this song, which I also enjoy.
Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I don't know what to do with the beginning as far as like that. I'm sure it ties to something. I haven't really like parsed that one yet, but once it kicks off, you start to get the so for sure, Stone Cold Crazy, Motorhead. Not just because it's called Motorheart, but there's like a Motorhead rhythm to it that reminds me of Ace of Spades.
Yep.
It's some like ass backwards version of that almost, but also, and this is weird, and it's just the chord he uses, but that reminds me of Tool, right? Like a couple Tool songs that use probably that specific chord and that cadence or whatever. And then, and then the chorus is just totally darkness. It's, great work. I don't know if there's much more to say.
It's just cool.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. And like, you know what too? I don't know if that's like the first track on the album or not, but like, oh no. Take Last Guy, I think is the opening track, but which is also a great song. Because the women are gorgeous and the food is okay.
Love that line too.
So funny.
A quick request.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. You like this video? Leave a comment down below. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe. We'll make more content like this. It helps the algorithm.
End of request.
But yeah, but like what I like about that one versus really all the other songs is like that one's like freaking metal as hell, Right. So awesome. All right. I almost like don't want to do this one next because it's like I wanted to save it, but Speed of the Nighttime. This song, what can be said about it? It's for sure 80s, and I'll wait to give the comparisons, but this one completely takes a left turn of where these songs are going in an amazing way. So here we go. Speed of the Nighttime. Bells, man.
Right there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll start off this time if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The that whole opening riff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is super reminiscent of like, I don't know, Depeche Mode, The Smiths, maybe Joy Division, like very sort of gothy, dark 80s, new wave, post-punk, whatever
Right.
kind of stuff. And it sounds like a lot of stuff, but the whole I used to run at the speed of the night, and then the dee-doo with the bells and all that stuff. It's like very, very Ryan Adams, and I know he's a big fan of Ryan Adams, right? Not Brian Adams. And or is it Brian Adams?
Brian Adams.
Jesus Christ, Brian Adams. It's
Comment
easy to get the
below.
one. What's that?
Leave a comment below.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cut that out. He's a big fan of Brian. So I think like he nails that because it's very much Run to You. Now it doesn't sound like that, but all of like the reverb and the bombast and the guitar tone, super Brian Adams. And then also, this is the last thing I want to say about this, but an important sort of characteristic of this song, when the verse actually kicks off, and this is what I think is great about the songwriting in this one, like like that whole verse, there's really just like the bass as the kind of constant present instrument, and there was just very faint like guitar vamping going on, maybe a little bit of synth, but it's very set back.
Yeah.
So what I think is cool about that is that melody almost completely on its own evokes the emotion that they're trying to go for and like holds your attention as if nothing else is going on. And like I don't really can't think of many songs that do that I like.
It's kind of Danger Zone, like the verse to Danger Zone a little bit.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Also, I mean, you can't get away from that in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's so 80s. It's got that little synth pad in the beginning and everything. And then the reverb choices and all that.
Yeah. Usually like you add all those elements and it makes it very easy to create an atmosphere and a vibe. But I like that in that section of that song, again, those things are there, but they're not taking over. It's really his melody and his voice that are achieving that. It's just so well done,
We should also talk a little bit about like all the different vocal stylings Justin's doing throughout this album. Like
sure.
he's doing
Yeah.
stuff, a lot of different tones and mouth placements.
Yes.
To convey the right mood for the specific song.
I think that is due to his time spending writing for other people as well, where he has to kind of wear many hats, like a Blake Mills or whatever, has to, kind of navigate the different stylings and singing styles of other artists, whether he's singing or not, which is a nice segue into, unless you want to say more on that.
No, I'm good.
Which is a nice segue into the next one, which is another like hard turn, So Long. And I picked this one for two reasons. One, because it's just like an interesting country song that is also using a very specific production technique that I think is really effective. I remember the first time hearing it in the car, I was like, what the hell is going on? I'll wait until we listen to it. And then now, if you're listening to this with us, either make sure you're on headphones or two separate left-right speakers, because that's kind of part of the special sauce with this song. And it's, it's also funny and it's like kind of beautiful. Check this out. So Long.
I am so hungry. Got a love that puts me off my feet. I just wanna hold her. I just wanna hold her in the nude. In the nude. But it's been so long since we thought so long. Can't do anything right, anything wrong. It's been so long. I still see her big brown eyes, and in her eyes I could do no wrong. Well, maybe her eyes were blue.
It's great. I remember like that, which I think is the intention. I remember like being totally caught off guard by that. I was like, oh, that's really sweet. And then he like stops and says that. I was like, oh, it's hilarious. Okay, can you Jeremy, because we didn't discuss this, can you tell me what is going on that's super unique that I think makes this song like just smack you in the eardrums in a way that a similar song recorded a different way would not?
You might have to cut this out because I don't know.
No? Well, what's happening in here, and it may not be obvious, but I think it adds to the impact it has from a listening point of view. His vocal is basically hard right. It may be like a little bit 80% pan to the right, but the vocal's only in the right. And then most of the guitar, I think, is like right leaning towards the center. And then they bring in all the other instrumentation, the violins or fiddles or whatever, and the bass, which I think is probably maybe an upright, all on the left.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's got to be some overlap in the middle a little bit. And the voice has got like a lot of distortion on it too. So that crackliness kind of cuts across as well. Super effective. Now you got to go back and not on camera, listen to it and tell me if you hear it.
I'll have to re-listen. But yeah, I love the sounds on this one. You're saying like that cranked preamp sound on the vocal.
Yes. Yeah. Like where you don't really have to do too much else except just like maybe a little bit of verb and, give it some tasty space, if you will. The last thing I'll say about that is that, which I may have already said this specifically, but I like how you got this odd offering amidst all these other like high energy songs that could be a song if you like, same lyrics or different lyrics that if you gave to any other sort of artist in the pop country realm, this would totally work.
Right.
So I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So I am glad you put this one on the playlist because I thought this was my favorite one from the album. It's
interesting.
It's way different from anything else I've heard from The Darkness.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I haven't really listened to much of The Darkness beyond their debut album.
Yeah.
But
Permission to Land.
Yeah, Permission to Land, great album. Check it out if you haven't already. And this song is just something completely different. And I like that it's, at the end of the album, it kind of closes you out on a different note.
Yeah. It's very like soothing, in that sense. Absolutely. Okay, we got two more. We got Sticky Situations up next. I have nothing to preface on this one. We're just gonna play it, and you take the lead on reaction afterwards.
I love your smile, but do you have to smile in my direction?
They use Soothe too on this vocal.
If you must love me, keep it discreet for your own protection. I've got nothing to lose. Under my bed there's just one pair of shoes. Love's always trying to make me start crying, but I refuse. 'Cause I love these sticky situations. There's nothing anyone can say. 'Cause I love these sticky situations. Whoa, you'll never persuade me, baby, to walk away. Walk away, yeah. Try and make me walk away.
So I think this is like 60% darkness and then 40% I can't figure it out. And now I'm at the point where I forget if I heard anything specific what it is. I know there's something in like the big like bombastic guitar vamps, but I'm curious to see if you can pick out anything from this.
Yeah, I'm just hearing that like, major fifth kind of Queen vibe a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Of course. Yeah.
In there. And then yeah, you're right. I can't place the rest of it because it's a darkness creation all its on.
I think so. Yeah. There's some. Yeah, let me just see if I can catch it. Like right here.
I've got nothing to lose. Under my bed there's just one pair of shoes.
Oh no, the da-na-na-na. This is the arpeggios don't count. Yes. Like that reminds me of a very specific playing style of like maybe a couple bands, or guitar, playing style. But anyway, I don't know. But it sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay. We're both stumped on that one. Or it's just a darkness tune and that's it.
Just a good song.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's definitely a throwback to the 80s still. But
yeah. Yeah, especially that the arpeggiation in the beginning, right? Like that's,
is like directly influenced by anything that we're super familiar with anyway.
Yeah, maybe that's also a Bryan Adams, sort of.
Leave us a comment below. Tell us what song you hear in that one.
Please, yeah, please. There may be a lot more going on there that we're not picking up on, and we need your help on that one. All right, and then to really close this out, I think this is a good one. This was not originally on the playlist, not because I didn't like it, but it just wasn't obvious at first, and then I'm listening to it. I was just actually like listening to the album after I made the playlist, like the full album. I was like, oh yeah, this needs to go on there. You Don't Have to Be Crazy About Me. And there's a lot of like kind of like subtle moves going on here that again we'll talk about afterwards. Love this drum intro.
Huey Lewis.
Oh yeah. Wow. Remember this riff, folks.
Where is this love you speak of getting us? Still got the image of your naked torso. See it into my retina.
That sounded like Van Halen. Some of that. Yes, and AC/DC as well. Like both of them.
Gotta write a song where I just go.
So, working backwards real quick. Did I tell you to take a lead in this one? I apologize.
Okay.
Okay. Working
Totally.
backwards on this real quick. That like you don't have to be crazy, but I feel like they should have that. My only criticism of this song is that they should have doubled down on making that like an upfront chorus, like post chorus or something, because it's just such a good groove. Like it deserves vocals to match it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I could see
You know?
that.
Yeah. Now the hopefully I'll blow your mind on this one. Not you, but because I already said this to you before. It's two things. It's Aerosmith all the way. It's completely a Joe Perry swinging kind of groove, but it's also Fame by John
Yeah.
Lennon and because it's there's no but it's it does kind of blur those lines, and I love it because it's just like, oh, what a great mashup.
Yeah, I hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like upbeats or whatever, but there's like these accent, notes that kind of like they're almost, but I love it. So I'd argue this is an homage to everything I just mentioned and Zeppelin, because basically the ocean verse chords are half done in this, and then so it's all it's missing is the and it's because why not throw a little Zeppelin in there?
Funky blues thing. It's an homage to all those.
It's so great. I know also like he and they are big Aerosmith fans, and I certainly not that they don't get enough credit. They do, but they're like when you hear that and then you think of Aerosmith, you're like, God damn, like they were super unique. And I know they kind of said like, oh, we were like our version of the Stones and whatever, but they always were like fun and high energy. Like even before I got to the pump era stuff and like Dude Looks Like a Lady and all that,
Right.
They were still like just really unique. And whether you loved everything they did or not, like really no one sounded like them. And that's probably a good example of a group or musicians kind of stating that they're ripping someone else off or they're directly inspired by, but then the way they execute it sounds nothing like it. So it's the best of both worlds. And I think one other thing where that's concerned. I remember, I think it was like maybe a rock journalist saying one time that another thing that's interesting about them, which you hear in a groove like this and hear a lot of Aerosmith stuff, is that a lot of their guitar parts are like horn parts almost.
Yeah.
Like they're like as if they're making up for that,
Yeah.
in their arrangement.
That's a funk thing. So as soon as you get like a funk beat, you're gonna want to plays some horn lines on your guitar every
Yeah.
single.
Right. And which is, I mean, it's like the guitar took over for the saxophone anyway, historically, in terms of like being like like the lead rock and roll instrument. So, but then funk kind of brought that back in, and yeah, so yeah, it's just it's like an appropriate kind of comparison or whatever. Okay, so so there we go. We ran through, what was it, 5 tracks of
Yeah,
Motorheart? No, 6.
there's some good ones in there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so hopefully for anyone that hasn't heard this album yet, that's inspiration to go check out the rest of it. There's a lot of other great songs, but we just kind of want to highlight those ones because they're the standout tracks.
According to
Again,
it.
well, yeah, according to us. Yeah, right. Sorry. Yeah, and I also think that for a band that's so far into their career, this is a pretty remarkable effort where it's fresh and not tired, and it's certainly not all sounding the same across the board. You could have an album put out by a band like this where it's got high energy and it's different, but the songs are all just under one umbrella, and that gets kind of boring after a while. So this is for sure an interesting listen from front to back. And if you need something to kind of zone out to when you're going for a drive, this will do it.
Yeah, and let's plug The Darkness is on tour right now.
Yes.
They are touring Permission to Land 20 years.
Yeah, they beat me to the 20th anniversary. Crazy.
Yeah, so if they're coming to your town or somewhere nearby, go see them. They put on a great show. If you ever check them out on YouTube, check out some live stuff. They're great.
Yeah, they get pretty acrobatic too, I think, nowadays.
Yeah, acrobatic. They've got in the past they've had, all kinds of stage props and craziness going on. I know there's one tour where Justin Hawkins was riding a white tiger out over the crowd. And it's just insanity.
Like a real white tiger or
like it's a giant prop.
Oh,
And
okay.
he climbs aboard this tiger, and then it takes him out over the middle of the crowd, and he's
God.
guitar solo the entire time. It's timed out to where he like does the guitar solo and then he lands back on the stage.
No, that's amazing.
Amazing.
That's a lot of fun. Okay, yeah. So check them out live. And also, if by chance you came across this and you are not familiar with them at all, go, we already said go listen to Permission to Land, but specifically check out I Believe in a Thing Called Love, because that's what put them on the map, and that's still the most darkness song ever written, and it's worth your time. Well, anyway, that was a good back and forth, and I think we discovered some other Easter eggs that maybe one or the other was able to pick out. So thanks for doing that exploration with me.
Yeah, man, it was fun to listen to this. I really like to listen to albums more than once, and so I did that with this one because I had some time to do that, and I was driving quite a bit this past weekend. And I know we talked about this like in our very first podcast episode, but being able to listen to something more than once is not something that people do anymore, like a whole album.
Yes.
And it's important to do.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed doing that with this one.
Yeah. Like to add to that, for anyone that's listening who, is a newer music fan, give some things a chance. Not everything is meant to be completely understood the first time through or even the second time through. I think probably a lot of albums that we all hold near and dear, that was the case, because hey, these people put a lot of work into this for you to listen to 1 minute of it. So keep that in mind.
Studies that say like people like music that they've heard before, or then they like new music. So you're just playing a song or an album one time through, you're not doing that album justice at all.
No.
You're not giving
a
chance to catch up to what's happening.
And there's no way you're ever going to pick up on all the choices and nuances, choices made and nuances in the music through one straight listen through. It's just not going to happen. No one has ears that are that sophisticated. I would argue even professionals, in the sense that like they're going to just focus on certain aspects. I'm sure there's people that can do that, but most people can't, I would say. You do have to review things a few times. So, well, anyway, thank you everyone for listening. This is Mike Ledoux and Jeremy Dillon for the WoAS podcast. We'll see you next time with hopefully another fun and exciting topic. Tip your bartenders, and please like and subscribe, because just do it. Okay. Thank you. All right.
You get enough reason.
Yeah.
That's so.
Don't make me beg. All right. Have a good one, Jeremy.
See you, Mike.
All right. Bye-bye. Did you enjoy that episode? Yes? Would you like to see and hear more? Please like and subscribe, and you'll automatically receive notifications when we publish new episodes. Thanks for watching and listening to the WoAS podcast.